Hey there, welcome back to Total Geek Live Presents. I'm Baltimore, and today I'm going to be talking to you about the Marvel Comics series Fear Itself. That's right, this is a 2011 series written by Matt Fraction with art by Stuart Immonen. Um, yeah, so this happened in 2011. The kind of, I guess, the genesis of the concept of this is the adage, we have nothing to fear but fear itself. And so kind of, from a conceptual standpoint, intellectual standpoint, it's interesting. They were trying to tie in all the things that were happening in the world, economies crashing, um, wars, terrorists, bombings, battles, everything that was going wrong could be accounted to um, or attributed to the fear of things. And what they did in the Marvel Universe was attribute this to the Serpent, which is the Asgardian deity for fear, of fear. Um, and it turns out this is actually Odin's brother Kull. Kull is the serpent that is terrorizing the Marvel Universe with all this fear, this preponderance of fear, mistrust, and anger, and confusion and hurt. So he's perpetrated onto the Marvel Universe, and starts this whole ball rolling, so to speak. Um, we have the Serpent who is wanting to reclaim the Asgardian throne, and so there's a small little step back from this where we see that the hammer that this is coming from, because there's enchanted hammers just like Thor's. There's more than just his. So there's another one that is found in Antarctica. It's thrown in Antarctica in the 1940s. Red Skull sort of tries to discover it, but it ends up being his daughter, Sin, who discovers it in the present day. And when she uh, picks it up and wields it, she's transformed into Skadi, 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 into a super villain. She's becomes one of the worthy. And there are 8 other hammers all scattered around the world. And throughout the series, we are introduced to existing characters who pick it up. Characters like Thing and Hulk and Juggernaut. They all become part of the worthy, in addition to Titania and Absorbing Man, in addition to Atuma and Grey Gargoyle. Those all become, the worthy, the 8 worthy, who are destined to, break the world or break, whatever it is their enchantment is. And they cause destruction, worldwide destruction, massive, massive, massive. And this is 7 issues. So over the course of 7 issues, we have all these fights happening. The heroes are trying to figure out what's going on, trying to stop them. And they are pretty near unstoppable. It's pretty gruesome and pretty devastating. For instance, Paris, Grey Gargoyle's thing is to be able to turn people into stone, and he turns the entire city of Paris, people included, into stone, just like that. And it's shocking, and like, how in the world are we ever going to get out of this? You think. And so it was really, really massive in scale. And you have uh, the Serpent. He comes in and he destroys Cap's shield. Like, oh my God, this kind of happened. How in the world are we going to get out of this? The unbreakable shield of Captain America has been broken by the Serpent. And so you have these big knockdown, drag out fights. Iron Man infuses, his his technology and the Uru from Asgard, and to make these enchantments to transform some of the heroes into be able to battle and take on. And those enchanted heroes include Black Widow, Wolverine, Iron Fist, Miss Marvel, Hawkeye, Red She-Hulk, Doctor Strange, all of them, including Iron Man. They all get these enhancements, these power boosts, to really fight off and take on these other worthy, or all the Serpent. and we have Odin summons the hammers away from the worthy, and that's basically how they are defeated, not by the heroes, but by Odin, taking away their magical enhancements. So the worthy. So we have some pretty interesting things that happens in this series. We have Bucky Cap, who Captain America. He is killed by Sin, by Scotty. She mortally wounds him, and he's dead. And this happens very early on in the series. And you're like, oh, what the? And then in order to kill the serpent, to stop him, Thor kills him and sacrifices his life. So Thor's killed at the end of this, and it's like, wow, Captain America, Winter Soldier, Bucky is killed. Thor killed. And you're like, how in the world are we gonna, fix this? What's gonna happen now? Well, they had 3-issue epilogues, and in each of these issues, they reversed it. They reversed Bucky's death, they reversed Thor's death, and they reversed Paris being turned into stone and everybody in Paris being in stone. So, what was the point of this event? What was the point? Okay, as a corporate thing, it's to sell comics. Sure, okay. Intellectually, what was the point of this? What did we go through? That we got to see some really cool, character designs and some pretty cool action. And the art was really great. I really liked Stewart as an artist. He's really, really great and fast. I really liked his artwork on this. But it just kind of left a really bad taste in my mouth. It was 7 issues, plus these 3-issue epilogues, a whole lot of tie-ins, a lot. And for what? I don't know that it holds up. I don't know that it had a real reason to be. And it was really, really frustrating, as a reader and as someone who's enjoying these characters. I just didn't understand why we were having this. That said, there were some really amazing tie-ins. I do have to say, the tie-in Youth in Revolt. I always love the younger characters in the Marvel universe, so getting to see them, that's always a treat. That was cool. The Home Front, which is basically the anthology series, which I usually like, I didn't enjoy as much this time. There was a Speedball Penance story in that was pretty good, but it kind of went on a little bit too long. In the New Mutants there were some ramifications there, because we had Danny Moonstar, who was depowered mutant, who has ties to Asgard. She used to be a Valkyrie. She goes to Hela and gets more Asgardian enchantments, and she's actually gets her Valkyrie powers back. So that was kind of cool, because it kind of gave her the power boost she needs. And that was a great little tie-in. The Uncanny XMen issues, while I hated the art, because Greg Land is not an artist that I care to see. I just think it's not appealing to me. That was really interesting, because he had every single X-Man trying to stop the Juggernaut on his way to Utopia, which is in San Francisco. So cross country, he's coming, and nothing stops him normally. And then because of his, being a worthy, nothing could stop him. All the X-Men were doing everything, but they had some really amazing and inventive, team-ups. You had Siren, who can sonic powers. She was using them, and then Dazzler, who can convert sound into light. They had a team up, and they gave him hell, basically. Still wasn't enough, but that was one of the most interesting team ups in that, and I liked that. I thought it was very, very kind of cool. There was the Deep, which is basically set up for a Defenders team. Defenders non-team, team whatever, which is kind of cool. I like that with Namor. You had Alpha Flight returning for a bit, which is good, because I've always loved Alpha Flight. Their stay was not as long as I would have liked. But on a whole, I felt like the series was done, and then everything was undone. It was all this change and then nothing, and it was all, you know, redone. I just, I don't understand that. It was very, very distasteful. You know, there was a lack of resolutions in so many things. There was so many jumping in settings and shifting where you were, you know, I get that we were on a global scale and we have destruction in Brazil and we have things in Paris and we have, you know, everything going on, but it just didn't seem like there was enough connection to it. And it was probably part of the Times. Maybe I didn't read one of the Times that you know showed up in. But there was a lot of tie-ins, and I think that was a drug it down a little bit. So that was a little frustrating. One of the big things that Matt Fraction, who was the writer for this, that was talking about, his, you know, quote that I remember about him talking about this was, these aren't stories about death. They're stories about resurrection. These are stories about escape, and not just our escape, but it's the escape that these characters make. Killing the characters is never the point. The point is, how do they come back? How does that experience for them make them into an even greater, stronger kind of hero? And I get that, and I understand the hero's journey, and I get that kind of thing. But I feel like he hipstered his way into this, and I didn't really appreciate his kind of snootiness about it. Oh, you can't understand it. I just didn't really enjoy that. And I like Matt Fraction's. His Hawkeye, amazing, incredible, great. His work with Ed Brubaker on the Immortal Iron Fist, incredible, just wonderful. I think he has some great concepts for the Uncanny XMen. I just think the execution, whether it was editorial or whatever, was a misstep. I didn't read his Iron Man. I didn't care for that. But I just think that I get that, but when you're doing an event, you're doing a comics, you kind of have to have ramifications, but every ramification that came out of this just wiped away, and it makes it meaningless, and that's very frustrating as a fan to kind of have, well, what's the point of getting this book? So, for me, Fear itself was a huge loss. You know, I thought it could have been really interesting, but I just didn't think it excelled. The art's really great and interesting, and I like Stewart. I liked a lot of the stuff he's worked on, almost everything. But I just don't think this was great. However, I would suggest buying some of the tie-ins. I think that would be really good. I think you'd really enjoy those. The Uncanny X-Force tie-in was amazing. Deadpool's tie-in, great. Youth and Revolt was really good. You know, notwithstanding the art, the Uncanny XMen, you know, that was really great. So that's what I would actually concentrate if you were going to get something out of this. Otherwise, you're pretty okay about it. But let me know what you think. Tell me what you think about Fear itself if you've read it yet. And I'd like to hear your comments on it. So thanks for watching, and as always, it's all geek to us.